It helps them increase their confidence in who they can become. And the thing of why I focused more on the necessity is because if I focus first of all on purpose, then teenagers may feel pressured that, oh, what if I don't know my purpose? Then does it mean I'm not good? Does it mean that I don't know anything? Does it mean this, that? And that's why I focus more on the necessity. You are necessary in this world. You have a space in this world. You have a contribution to make in this world. And when a teenager can have that as an identity, that they are necessary, it does a lot of things for them. It gives them the confidence that even I, as their coach, I don't even have the level of confidence that I've seen in many young people today.
Hey parents, welcome back to Parenting on Purpose, your podcast for parenting tips. And really excited. I am joined with Miss Fina Chichi all the way from London. Fina, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. This is so fun. I'm so excited to chat with you because your area of expertise is like so niche and so cool that I think our parents are just going to like love it. So for parents, Fina is actually a parenting consultant and teens coach with 15 years of experience specifically in helping teens find their passion and purpose. And what just an amazing thing to have in life. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So I always like to start off with a question about how you show up in your own life, and then we'll kind of jump into your work and what you do. I've personally taken your course and I've seen the benefits of it. So I'm excited to share that with our audience. But to start us off, can you tell us, Fina, where you're from and also what you do to show up in your own life to be a purposeful parent? I'd love to know.
Awesome. It's a great question, Caitlin. I am from London, UK. You can tell from my accent. I'm from London, UK. And how I show up in my own life is by tapping into myself first. I can't do anything in the day without having a quiet time. At least an hour is my minimum, where I have some time to myself. I meditate, I pray, I journal, and then I can step out there in the world. It's something that I've done now consistently for over 10 years.
Wow.
And it really does help me settle into my space. It helps me to be very conscious and very emotionally aware of people around me, of how I present myself and what I contribute to the world. Very, very intentional.
That's inspiring because I know you shared you have 3 children.
I have 3 children, yes.
And you shared their ages, which means you were doing this when they were in their like elementary school years.
Exactly. Exactly. I used to wake up way earlier than all of them. Like I wake up like 5 a.m. before they wake up. And then I get my own time so that once they're awake, then it's all good. I'm in a settled place. I'm in a calm place, and I can operate from a better place. And I think that really helped my parenting. Definitely.
That's amazing. That's inspiring. I have done my versions of that. I cannot get up that early consistently. Are you a scheduled person like before that? Have you always kind of been?
You know what? Not really. But I just needed some time before everyone woke up in the morning.
Yep.
And as soon as I started doing it, I felt so good about myself.
Okay.
And but I'm very consistent. Once I start something, I do call myself a consistent queen. Once I get into it, but I have to get into it first. Sometimes I'm not consistent in some things, but once I see the benefit of it.
Yeah, and you would say you started seeing the benefit pretty immediately, like within the first month.
Yes, I did.
That's so good. I love it. All right, so I guess I got to get past my 2 or 3 day streak, and then I'll.
Yes, exactly. And just give yourself the chance, because you would, sometimes slip back, but just keep going, and you'll get into the rhythm of it.
That's amazing. I love it. So Fina, start us off by giving a bit of a backstory about what you do, how you started getting into it, and then we're gonna dive into some of like your course materials, what you've learned. I'm super excited to share this with our audience.
Yes, thank you. So I started this journey 15 years ago. My mom lost her 2 sisters at various points in the year due to illnesses and stuff. And it just made me really sit down and think to myself, like, what's this life all about? Because I was very close to one of them. It's very close to her. And so that really affected me. And I thought, Auntie Mabel has just gone. Auntie Mabel used to be so flashy, when she's wearing things, her nails were always the same colors with her outfits, she was just that lady that just stood out in the crowd. And for me to know that she was gone, it just made me really reflect about life and say, what is this life all about? I don't want to just do nothing, not contribute to anything, and my life just ends. What am I here for?
Wow. Yeah.
So that was a question I asked myself, and I did some intense work with it, like asking myself questions, reflecting, reading some books on finding your purpose.
Great.
I did all that and came to a conclusion that my life was based with young people, because I love young people. And I used to get on with so many of my cousins, my young cousins that were young adults then and teenagers. I used to get on so much with them. And there was just something about it. I'm a very good listener. I listen very well. And I'm also a very big encourager. So I think those two things were things that really connected me and teenagers together. And I just used to hear teenagers say, well, my life doesn't mean anything. I'm not enough. Just a lot of negative self-talk and stuff. And I used to say, but why, I almost tempted to say, why would you say that? But of course, as a coach, you don't ask them, why would they say that? Yeah. You then have to start saying, okay, tell me more, so that you can then grab some more from what they're actually saying. And so I found out that my listening to them, sometimes I would be with a group of teenagers and they would just talk. Everyone would share their stuff. And all I would do is listen. And we would do that again very often. And then every now and then I'll come and then encourage them. And they would say, Fina, that thing you said last time, do you know what? When I was taking my exam, I just remembered you. I was remembering your voice. So there was a lot of those kind of testaments, if not for you, I wouldn't have done this. If not for you, I wouldn't have done that. And then many of them were saying, I wish you were my mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish I were your mom. I wish my mom listened the way you did. So all these feedbacks I was getting from young people made me know that for me to be able to really accomplish this work with the young people, I need to also coach the parents as well. And so that was how I went into the coaching parents arena and started helping parents a lot. My thing with parents, where I'm very different with parents, is I always want them to know that it's a very non-judgmental space, because there has always been this stigma, and from the years back, I've seen a shift in the way parents embrace learnings now, parenting education. Before, in the past, it was a struggle.
Okay.
It was a struggle because many parents didn't admit to any issues. It was a stigma to even talk about it.
Right. It means you're not okay. You're not perfect.
It means you are a bad parent. So why would I share anything with you? But over the years, I've seen the evolvement. I've seen the change. And I'm excited about the change, because now a lot of young people are going to be helped because their parents are willing to be helped. So that's amazing.
Oh, I love this. There's so many amazing things here that I want to talk about. One of them is it's like the primary thing, like the conversations that we have here serve a primary purpose, but there's like a second and tertiary benefit that are like woven in to everything in life. And your example is like exactly why this podcast exists. Like there are parents out there who I've talked to in our interviews, and they want more for their life, and they don't know exactly what that is yet. And they're in the midst of breastfeeding and babies and diapers and kids in sports, and they don't have all of the time and resources to dedicate to it, but they want to start to nurture what that can be. And so I just want to point out, like, your example is incredible. And by the way, for those of you, we're not on the pre-call. Fina, you had an important job. You were an accountant. You were serving an important purpose from a business perspective. It's not like you didn't contribute, but you felt in your heart that there was more that you wanted to be. You were already an amazing mom to amazing children, and you had a career. But there was something in there that said, but there's more of me to unwrap, and just play with. And I mean, that if that's not the journey of self-mastery, like, that's amazing. So kudos for being able to recognize it and then
Mhm.
allowing it the proper time for it to incubate and nurture into what it was supposed to be, which I think is always going to be a period, right? Like
Exactly.
you can equate it back to kids, like when they're babies and then to youth and then adults. Like ideas are no different. They need time to really root
Totally.
and to be given life and to like be nurtured. And
Totally.
it can also be squandered if you don't have if you do like only have negative self talk and nothing to help it. So
Yeah.
I just think your example is so incredible,
Thank you.
not only to the teens that you help, but also to adults, right? And I'm
Mhm.
happy I get to be a forum to share that story. So
Yeah.
that's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Okay, so now you have the teens on board and you have the
Mhm.
parents on board, and
Yes.
you're creating a beautiful non-judgmental space
Yes.
to be able to help them both.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
cool. So share with us a little bit on how you do that, what that looks like, maybe some of the stuff you've learned, whatever's on your heart.
Yes, it's been a learning journey, as you said. It's been an evolving journey as well, because I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of webinars and live videos on Instagram. I used to do a lot of live videos on Facebook, and I stopped for a while, but then I'm starting back again. Um, but I think not I think I know one of my gifts are in my voice, and in speaking to parents and to teenagers, and so I use that gift a lot in helping to do that. So a lot of my programs are more on webinars, online courses that I do, and then I also run some group courses as well for young people. And as I mentioned before to you at the start, at the beginning, I have a program for young people coming up. That's going to be it's a monthly Zoom program that we have, empowering the next gen academy, and it's for helping young people to understand their necessity
I love this.
and actually embrace their necessity and use that to make a difference in their lives and live their lives on purpose. And I think it's so important for young people in today's arena that they have so much voices to contend with.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that they learn from an early age how to filter the noise and
Yeah.
how to own their own space, because every child is gifted.
Oh,
And if
100%.
every child can understand their uniqueness and embrace that uniqueness, then the world is their oyster. They have a lot of opportunities out there that we want to prepare them to be ready for. And
Yes.
so it's so vital that a young person is listened to. It's so vital that a young person is understood. And so that's why a lot of the journey and a lot of the courses and stuff that I've even done on my, for my own knowledge, is learning about the adolescents, understanding their brain work, how their brain works,
Yes.
understanding different temperaments, just kind of understanding a young person for who they are. And through that journey, it has helped me more in then helping parents.
I
Because
bet.
a lot of times parents ask questions, and because of my experience with my own children and with the young people that I coach, I'm able to help parents in a way that is quite unique. And
Yeah.
so parents or my DMs always questions, long stories, and then I a lot of times I use voice notes to reply them, because by the time you start typing away, it
I'm
can
with
get.
you. I love the voice note. You
Yeah, I
know.
love the
Oh my, all
voice.
right, enough of this.
Yeah,
I missed
yes.
still half the words anyway.
Exactly. So it's been a great journey, and the beautiful thing that I love about this journey and what has helped me a lot in this journey is because I talk to young people. Young people share their frustrations with me.
Mm,
Young people share their worries with me. Young people share what their parents do that they don't like, and all these kind of things. I'm able to then use that in then advising parents, not of
yes,
course not calling names or anything,
of
but
course.
just using the context in then teaching parents how to do it the right way. We have many parents who are unfortunately stuck in the past, so
Yeah.
parenting the way that their
Their
parents
parents, of
parented them.
course. Right.
And a lot of them, I smile when some parents tell me, well, my parents did it that way and I turned out okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad you turned out okay, but please, can we give our children of this generation a chance to even turn out more than okay? Is
Yeah.
that good?
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of answer, I respond to that comment of I turned out okay. I want our children to turn out more than okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
And
not
the
okay.
world is different than when we were kids. So we have to prepare them.
We
I like
have
in your course that it's like it seems so it's like there's two different facets. It's like kids need a certain environment to thrive, but they also they need to know how to thrive in less than perfect. Like I think the concept of perfection is such a disservice to kids.
Oh, totally.
And to like give them, like sometimes it's actually good that maybe we're not perfect parents because that's not the world, and they need to know how to have their own filter and their own foundation of values to then see and discern and figure out how they want the world to shape. You said like the world is their oyster. How do they shape that?
Exactly.
Obviously your course will go into a lot of detail, and so I think it's incredibly valuable. I'll post everything down below that you do. But in your communications with kids and going back and forth with parents, can you give a few examples of maybe where parents miss like some common themes that you see, right? Because I have a 15-year-old, so as you're going through this, I'm like, oh yeah.
One of the main ones that are so common is yelling. When parents yell at their teenagers, they probably a lot of times parents have gotten away with it when their teenagers were much younger. So younger children just like, okay, my mom's shouting or my dad's yelled at me. I would say it's normal, but they get used to it. Sure. But it's something that happens in their teen years. That separation that starts to happen, that individuation that starts to happen, that makes the teen look back to think, why is she yelling at me? Why is he yelling at me? And then reacts to the yelling. And so parents are like, what's going on with you? Where have you, why have you changed? But they have to change because that's the journey that they're on. It's their brain is changing. They're looking for who they are.
And that's developmentally appropriate. That's what you want.
That's what you want, because that's the foundation to their adulthood. So that's important. Yelling is one of them. The not listening factor is a big one. And so I hear young people tell me, my mom or my dad, they don't listen to me. And what I've picked up from those conversations that I've had with young people, and this is something I've shared with parents on the listening bit, is that when a teenager tells you you don't listen to them, it's very important that you realize that that's just the comments. That's just up, like how you got the iceberg thing. That comment is just up there. There are already some conclusions that are below the surface. And one of those conclusions is that I don't matter. That's why they're not listening to me.
Wow.
They don't love me. That's why they're not listening to me. I'm not enough. That's why they're not listening to me. So it's just more than that sentence. And that's what I like to get parents to understand, that it's much more. That sentence is, there's a deeper conclusion that it's then affecting the choices our teenagers make. If they feel that they're not loved, because some teenagers have told me, oh, my parents don't love me. And I've said, did they tell you that? No, they didn't. But the way they talk to me, the way they don't listen to me, I know that I'm not loved. And it really stopped. The first time I heard that, it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, in my mind, I was like, there's a lot of work to be done here, because it's those conclusions that is the foundation to a lot of the challenging behaviors that we see out there.
Yeah.
And if we don't get to the root of the matter, because what a lot of parents do is we're trying to solve the problem. But the problem, there's a foundation to the problem.
Yeah.
And we need to get to that foundation. And that's why one of the biggest things that I talk about most of the time is that we've got to learn to listen to them. Because the more we get to listen to them, guess what? That conclusion underneath there will shift.
Yes.
They will say, oh, she does love me. Oh, he does love me. And when a teenager knows that they're loved, that empowers them. That gives them the confidence. That gives them I'm not taking them. The boundaries, they're so confident and they're so powerful to say no to those negative peer pressure. But if they don't feel loved, then guess what? When a peer comes in, one of their peers and says, oh, let's do this, let's do that. The first thing a teenager will want to do is to please that friend, because they don't want to be rejected. They don't want to feel that they're not loved. So that is why, as parents, we've got to do the work, and make them know that we love them. Show them by listening to them. It's not by buying them gifts. It's not by being perfect. There's no perfection in parenting, and there's no need to even chase perfection, because perfection is an illusion.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is so good.
So listening is if there's anything that any parent can take away from the conversations that we have today,
Amazing.
listening is definitely on the topmost list.
And that's the course that we took, was your peer pressure course. So my
Yes.
daughter is privately homeschooled, so we
Mhm.
get to build her curriculum, and that's how I found you off of
Yeah.
Udemy
Yeah.
and that course. And
Mhm.
I will tell you, as a personal testimony, I thought it was incredible,
Thank you.
to give people that, especially kids that are homeschooled, because
Yes.
they don't get the same quantity of social interactions. So you want to make sure there's a filter for the quality of
Yes.
interactions. Um,
Absolutely.
Vina, what you just shared is like life altering, amazing gold. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, I know. I wanted to do that too. That's like
Yes.
so good.
Thank you.
It's a practice with the
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
Are there one or two practical tips, or is there one or two maybe mental heuristics a parent can have in their arsenal as they're going to react for them to like just start on their journey?
Yes. One of the biggest tools that I would share with parents is to really work on themselves. Do you know what, Ian? If you spend some time, even if it's 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be the hour that I said because I had the hour. It doesn't have to be that. But even if it's 5 minutes a day that you spend by yourself and really intentionally tell yourself who you're going to be in the day. For me, one of the things that I'm always telling myself is I am a peaceful parent.
Oh, I love that.
I am a peaceful parent. And so what that does to me is, or for me, is that when there's a situation that would normally cause a reaction, I'm very quick to pause. I believe in the power of pausing. I'm very quick to pause, to just situate myself to say, okay, what's going on here? In my mind, I'm saying, what do I need to say? What's going on? What's going on? Like I've allowed myself the opportunity to pause, and even if that pause is for 2 minutes, and then what I can say, if I haven't still got an answer, or I haven't got anything to say in that moment, or if I feel that I'm getting frustrated and upset about the situation, I will say, you know what? Let's talk about it later. And I will run off. Literally sometimes, like, okay, I'm gonna go. Because I know that it's okay to get frustrated at things. It's okay to get upset at things. But what it's not okay to do is to say some things in that moment that I won't be able to unsay. If there's a word like unsay, I won't be able to take it back. And words for me personally matters a lot to me. When I was growing up, I was so conscious about the adults that spoke at me. I used to feel, oh, why are they talking like that?
You would close up. You literally.
I was, yeah, well, I couldn't understand. And my sisters would be like, oh, no, it's no big deal. But to me, it was a big deal.
Mm.
It was a very big deal. When I heard adults yelling at kids, I used to think, wow, they're wicked. They're really bad. That was as a young person,
Mm-hmm.
as a young person, that was my view of adults who yelled. So as an adult, that's something that it's not even. Yes, I'm sure there were times where I've yelled, of course, especially in emergency times. If my child was going near the hot cooker or near the hot kettle, of course, I'm going to shout, oh no, get out from there and stuff. But in moments where they do things, they haven't done something, they've forgotten to do something, I'm very conscious not to yell at them because I know how it made me feel when I was a kid. And so this may not be an easy journey, an easy thing for parents to do, but I will encourage parents to give it a try. Every effort that we make in parenting is a plus to our young people. Every effort. There are going to be times that we're going to slip back, but what I encourage parents is even when you slip back, please do the repair work. Don't let it linger on. Don't let it just go. Don't yell and then say, oh, it was 4 days ago or it was 2 years ago, and then they must have forgotten about it. I will tell you this secret. They haven't forgotten about it. And even if it doesn't come out now, it will come out later.
Yep.
So always do the work to repair. Apologize. Tell them I'm learning. I'm in this phase of life where I'm learning. So please bear with me, have patience with me. I don't want to yell. Call me out when I yell. I used to tell my daughter, because one time my daughter was saying, Tamara was saying, Mom, but you're not listening. And in my mind, I'm like, "Ah, I'm not listening. I thought I was a good listener, but I wasn't. I didn't defend myself with her. I said, oh, I'm not listening. Okay, please call me out when you know I'm not listening.
That's awesome.
And that's what I told her. And I don't think she has even called me out, because I'm even more intentional now that after she had said it, I'm actually more intentional to actually listen. So it's a back and forth journey. And that's what I love about parenting. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when we put perfection into the mix, then we put too much pressure.
That's it.
We put too much pressure, and our children don't need a perfect parent. Our children just need a present parent.
I love that.
That's so what our children need.
It's amazing. And it makes life so fulfilling, because what I found is when you're not present and you put the worth on the external things because you're not present, you're just never going to fill that void. There's not enough insert widgets in the world to fulfill that. But a true connection with your children, like strip everything else out of my life. Like if I just have a chance to watch them interact with each other and the world, like I am so full of joy and peace, and it's just wow, right?
Exactly.
Man, and we had a real estate, very successful real estate entrepreneur on, and he adopted 2 kids, and he shared with us, like, he made this whole a beautiful company and theology around, like, you only have 18 summers to spend with your kids, and it's about creating like great memories in that time. And he shared this statistic with me that like broke my heart. It's 80 to 90% of the time you'll ever spend with your kids is gone after that 18th summer in our modern society, where they're off to college and stuff. And I'm like the gap in my, it just, that was gut wrenching for me, because my kids are my best friends, right? I love my kids. But you know, I look at my relationship with my parents, and I'm not in that statistic. And there's a reason. My parents are awesome. My husband and I, like, we will go out on a Friday night with Ted and Rhonda and go take them out to some video games and pizza, because they're hilarious. They're so much fun to hang out with. But they parented me, you know, the best they could, and it was a different generation. But you know, they were present, and they weren't perfect, and I didn't need them perfect. You know,
that's all.
Because again, it does a disservice to our kids. That's
all.
Oh, that's so good. I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but you shared something at the beginning that I personally just need to ask you. And it's about, especially since, you know, my daughter comes to me through a non-traditional means, and I think it works no matter the situation. But it was about helping teens find their, it wasn't presence, it was their like purpose and
necessity.
Necessity. That's the perfect word, because I'm in my 30s, and I can't tell you the amount of friends and people that I know and love, and myself included, who've spent countless days and months and thousands of dollars going through retreats and this and that and this tea and this tincture and whatever, and this guru and this headband or whatever it is, to help find their purpose, this religion, this journey across, a trek across the world, all of it. To find their purpose, because that is why we're here. And the fact that you are bringing that into teenage vernacular is so amazing. That makes my heart just burst wide open with happiness. So obviously this is a very long conversation, and you don't have to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I would just love to know a little bit about, you know, how you have found that can be possible, and what small things are, because I'm sure they're simple, and it's just about being present again. I'd love anything you want to share there, Fina. It would be amazing.
Yes. Awesome. I love the question, because it's a question for me. The work that I do with young people in that arena has evolved over the years. At first, what I was doing very early on was I was showing them positive role models. So I had a magazine called Inspiring 10 to Teens magazine, and we will just share positive images, because for me, what they see is what it helps them increase their confidence in who they can become. And the thing of why I focused more on the necessity is because if I focus first of all on purpose, then teenagers may feel pressured that, oh, what if I don't know my purpose? Then does it mean I'm not good? Does it mean that I don't know anything? Does it mean this, that? And that's why I focus more on the necessity. You are necessary in this world. You have a space in this world. You have a contribution to make in this world. And when a teenager can have that as an identity, that they are necessary, it does a lot of things for them. it gives them the confidence that even I, as their coach, I don't even have the level of confidence that I've seen in many young people today. And my confidence is growing because I didn't have a great start like they have. I didn't know that that was necessary as a teenager. I didn't know I had, I didn't know all this. And so focusing on them being necessary gives them a chance to be able to try out different things. They may love something today and next year they may not love it. And that's okay. It's part of the journey. I always give them my story. I was a chartered accountant. I'm not a chartered accountant today, even though I still can do accounting stuff. I still pay for my chartered accountancy fees. That's I was talking about that to someone the other day. But it was good to just keep that going. It's not a problem. But I tell them that, and I always share this with young people so that they're comfortable enough to try out things.
Of course. How do you know what you like?
Yes, if they don't try out things, if they think, oh, I need to wait for that big purpose that I have, that big purpose that I will find when I'm an adult, then they're going to be waiting for a long time. It's important that they start practicing now. And it's about their identity. It's about who they say they are.
Inside.
It's about that. Because every choice they make, every decision they make, everything they say is based on who they are on the inside.
That's awesome.
It's from there. And so getting them to talk and listening to them. And that's why I encourage parents to really do the listening part, because it's in the listening part that you will hear what they say about themselves. And then if you can see that there are gaps or that a lot of things that they're saying about themselves are negative, then you have some tools to then teach them. Affirmations. I'm a very big believer in affirmations. You heard my alarm go off. I go back and I just say a few affirmations. I am peaceful. I am calm. I am amazing. I've got something to contribute to this world. And for young people, yeah, I can do all things. I'm great. I am bold. I'm confident. Very simple words. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. I've worked with young people where we've talked about I'm amazing. And a young person I coached a few months ago, she said, but I don't feel amazing. I feel like I'm lying when I say I'm amazing. So I said, I understand that feeling.
Good for her.
I said, I understand that feeling. And see what I said here? I didn't tell her that she shouldn't feel that way. I validated it.
Yep.
I said, yes, I understand that feeling. Here's what I want you to do for me, if you don't mind. Let's just say it 1 or 2 times. And from my experience, the more you say it, the more you will believe it. It's going to take some time, but just start saying it bit by bit. And yes, you're going to feel that you're telling yourself a lie. That's okay. But just say it some more. And every day I want you to say it, and I want you to write it down as well in your journal. And this is what we continue to doing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then after some time, she said, you know what, Fina? I'm more comfortable with it now.
That's awesome.
And for me, that was a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
That was a massive breakthrough. Because for her to now acknowledge the fact that she's amazing, it's going to put less pressure on her to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
You see what I mean? It's going to be less pressure for her. And so she's going to think, you know what, I'm amazing. If they want me to do something and I don't feel comfortable doing it, I can say no. And I'm okay with that because I'm amazing. And so it's just little terminologies like that really makes a big difference. Many young people think that if they say I'm amazing, it means that they're bragging. And I say bragging means when you're saying, well, I'm amazing, you're not amazing, I'm the best, you're not. Is when you start comparing yourself and putting somebody else down. That's when it's a bragging thing. But when you say, I'm amazing, I'm bold, I'm confident, that's good. It's important that you affirm yourself.
Yeah.
You can't wait for the world to affirm you, because if you're waiting for that, you're going to wait a long, long time.
Yes.
And so that is what I teach young people. That is what I encourage young people to go about the business of being confident in who they are, being kind to themselves. Even my daughter, I say this on a very consistent basis, because yes, sometimes she can be confident and just be okay. Some other times she'll say, you know what, I'm feeling a bit down today. I heard something, or someone said something, or my friend said this, and I'm feeling a bit low today. and I sit in and listen to that. And then start to share. Sometimes she will say, "Oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling that great today, but I don't want your advice." She will actually just literally say it because she's not in the mood for that advice at that moment.
I don't want the self-work. I just want to sit in this for a minute.
Yes. And I say, that's fine. I'm good. And then I'll walk away. I'll just leave her and just check in with her every now and then. You okay? Do you want something to drink? Do you want something to eat? I'll just check in with her. And then afterwards, she would come up to me and say, you know what? Yeah, that happened, this, and I would just sit in and listen.
Because they need time to process too.
They do. They need time.
Interesting. Like you may not experience this as much personally because maybe your morning practices or your journey. But I will say that I have multiple days a week where there are moments where I'm off, and it used to be a lot more. And I think it has to do a lot with intentionality, moving toward your purpose. Yes. I just I just got off a coaching call with my coaches, and I have coaches for everything, right? I just think I grew up playing sports. Coaches were very valuable.
Yes.
You have great ones and you have other ones, and you just appreciate people for what they can bring.
Totally.
And my business coaches were like lovingly slapping me around a little bit. Like, you're focusing on this neck and you're focusing on this podcast is too much. You have to do one. And I'm like, but the purpose, the podcast, the purpose behind it, I can't ignore my heart on that. No, I'm going to do it. And my daughter wants to do the snack thing. So guess we're going to have to make both work.
Yes.
But it has to so I say that to say the purpose, following your purpose or a purpose or what's the movie and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
It's not always linear, right? Mine's like, boop, 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 boop. Mine looks like that old long game, but right now, that's okay. And obviously if I did from a business perspective, if I did one, I could probably do it faster, but is my heart and my soul going to be satisfied?
Yes.
So we're going to take the Caitlin path, and we're going to do it the way that feels right to me. And
exactly.
Okay. And to your point, so I used to back in another life, and I'll wrap this all back. I used to be a personal trainer, and I learned a lot about low-key of control. And this is what I think a lot about when you share your story is you're teaching teenagers to have an internal low-key of control. So there's basically, I'm sure but for people who aren't familiar with the term, there's basically an external or low-key of control. My life happiness, my conditions are circumstantial based upon the environment around me. You can think politics, you can think government, you can think blah, 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 whatever, the weather, these people can be happy in the perfect circumstance.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen often. Internal low-key of control is I will take my external environment and I will make it into something beautiful. And my happiness, they take responsibility for everything, right?
Totally.
These are people who end up being uber successful in life because they can take lemon and make lemonade, right? They can take something perceivably bad and make something incredible out of it. And, in your own personal journey, whether it's health, wellness, parenting, entrepreneurialism, whatever, that's important, that low key of control. But because I've always had great parents, I've always had a pretty internal low key of control. So I'm Italian. So when I started sharing with my family, we're going to do the snack brand, you ever want to test your self-confidence, go share a business idea in front of your Italian aunties and just watch them shred into you. And I was listening to them lovingly, listening to your point, not fighting it because you don't do that in my family. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to crush this because they're not phasing me at all right now.
Yes, exactly.
But it's that internal low-key of control. And
it is,
to your point, I had this amazing daughter who was brought into my life from very different circumstances.
Yeah.
So I have an opportunity to help her develop that low-key of control internally or that necessity that you don't have to be X, Y, and Z to others. You need to really just be okay with who you are. And one of our favorite quotes is, be yourself, the world will adjust.
That's it. Absolutely. And even for us as adults, we need to take that on board and be ourselves and stay in that unique place that we're in. I know that for me, when I started this journey as well, coaches were telling me, but you can't coach teens and coach parents. And I said, who says so?
I love that.
I said, who says?
Watch me.
Watch me do it.
Love you.
So definitely.
To bring it back to my original point in question, that was there are a lot of people. I mean, I feel that way, that you go through life and you have those moments, right? And There's a lot to be said here. But some of it's like you want to give them the tools to know how to get themselves out, but also would the mountaintops look as good if you never experienced a valley?
Exactly.
So sometimes that's okay. And I want my daughter to know what low feels like under my roof,
Yeah.
or we can safely, get out of the vat of ice cream and go for a walk, right? I want to teach her how to come out of those moments in a safe space. So it's interesting because I think a lot of times, and you said this perfectly with the listening part and how parents have a hard time listening, is because we want to swoop in and be the savior.
Yes.
We want to be the solution.
Yes.
But by being the solution, we are enabling the problem.
Yeah.
Because we're not, especially with teenagers, like you shared before the call, like there's a place for that at like 5 or 3 when they're about to throw themselves in a pool. And but it's not at 13 when they're learning how to navigate this world. And that's where we as parents have to have an internal shift.
Yeah.
So I want to lead that back into like 1 or 2 more questions. When you're starting to notice your children are at that age. So I guess when does that start to happen? Where you start to notice, okay, like I need to stop parenting and I need to start coaching my child.
Yeah.
And then what are like some of the telltale signs that that's happening? And what's like a tip or 2 for a parent to be like, ooh,
okay. Yeah. So it's a great question because there is no specific age because every child is different. Some children start as early as 10. My son, who is 20 now, he started as early as 10. As early as 10, he was already telling me back off, or, I don't want to talk about something now, or questioning me more than he used to before. So those are the little telltale signs you start to get. So what happens is a lot of times when we start getting those pushbacks, we start to react. Why are they being rude? Why are they being naughty? But those are the telltale signs that we need to shift gears in our parenting.
Wow.
That's when it moves from parenting to coaching, where we're then asking questions, and more. It's more question-led parenting than saying instructing, do what I say, or and it's more of a dialogue. Those are a few of those tips. But once they start pushing back, that's the time to change gears. And when you change gears, you can even tell them that what I've observed these changes. I've observed you doing these things, and I think what it's telling me that you're becoming a teenager, and I appreciate it. I'm reading a lot about it, or I've learned a lot about this. What that conversation does to your teenagers is mind-blowing. It makes them recognize that you can see them and that you're not passing judgment on them, because at this stage they're confused. They're really like their body's changing, their emotions, their hormones are going all over the place. So they're actually not even too certain about themselves. So for parents coming in that angle to say, I noticed these changes, and I want us to go through this journey together. That's a beautiful thing that any teenager will want to hear, because then they can relax and say, oh, okay.
So I don't need all the answers.
Yes, I don't have all the answers, and it's actually okay.
Yeah, that's good.
My mom, my dad, they're not perfect, but they're with me. They got me. They've got my back. And so those are a few of the things to just then say and shift into what we're into. And we should be okay with when they have those tantrums. We should be okay with when they have those mood swings. I remember I used to have those mood swings when I was younger, a teenager. I remember I used to want to stay in my room. And that's what a lot of teenagers do today. And that's what a lot of parents complain about. But that's okay. It's the teenage years. They're trying to find out who they are.
Yeah.
So a few of the tips that I will add to this is be patient with them. They're in this journey. They've never been a teenager before. So they're worried. They're thinking, what kind of a teenager am I going to be? So I would encourage parents to really be patient with their teenagers. Sometimes our teenagers will forget to do things, and that's okay. Don't immediately go into you're being disrespectful for forgetting it, or then yelling at them or taking away their phones just because they forgot something.
So you're talking directly to me. Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
It's very important because it really does help. Everything that we do as parents helps our teenagers become who they're going to become.
Yeah.
And so that's why I encourage parents. Yes, we're going to have our off days. And no parent is perfect. I'm not perfect either. We're going to have those off days. But I think it's important to, when we have those off days, to work on the repair. I think I said that earlier on, and I'm saying that again because that is really the core of parenting teenagers, and it does give them the template to then be like that to other people. And I think that's the key. One of my quotes about parenting is that parenting is more than a role; it's a behavior, it's a template of character, it's a relationship. That's really what I define parenting as. So with those tips, that would really help parents as they start to see those changes. As I said, the changes could start from 10, it could start from 13. It really depends on our children. And so I encourage parents to observe, learn our children, study our children, so that because one child will be different from the other.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. It's a fun journey to go on together for sure. And I have a picture of my daughter, like her volleyball picture sitting right there. So it's cool, man. I appreciate that. That was a really good practical tip.
Thank you.
I usually end our podcast by saying, if you could give parents one tip, they could take it to the future. But I think you've satisfied that requirement. As we wrap, I would love for you to share, what projects you're working on now. I know you mentioned the course, where people can find you, because I'm going to take all that and link it down below.
Okay.
So yes, where do you live on the socials?
On social media, I'm very prominent on Instagram. So I've got my Instagram page at Parenting Teens Solutions. I've also got a Facebook group, Parenting Teen Solutions. I've got my own personal page on Instagram at Fina Chichi. I'm on YouTube. One of my aims this year is to be more present on YouTube, because that's one area that I'm working on, because I have lots of videos on Instagram. I'm like, just repurpose them, put them on YouTube. So I'm on YouTube at Parenting Teen Solutions and at Fina Chichi. I'm also on Udemy, as you found me on Udemy with a course for teenagers, how to manage negative peer pressure. And I have lots of courses. I've got a Linktree address on my Instagram page with lots of the courses that I have for parents. I have a new course called Parenting a New Teenager. So for parents of tweens who are about to be teens, or parents of new teens, I've got an online course for them, and just various different other video courses that I have. I do coaching. I do one-off coaching, group coaching, family coaching as well. I do. So yeah, that's with my details. Parents can contact me, and we can do this journey and do this journey together. And as a parent of teenagers as well, we're all in this journey together. And so I think that's really important for many parents to know that as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to watch this grow, and you're already very successful. So I've been playing with this idea. So I'm just going to commit publicly. I'm going to start doing like a live once a month. And have like certain of our podcast guests on to answer like live questions to our audience. So I will, with your permission, graciously put you in that queue, because I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so niche what you work on specifically, and so needed. And I know you're across the pond, as they say. So I would love to get some of our your American neighbors to ask you some questions, because I'm sure.
Yes. Totally.
Over here in America, we struggle with this.
Yes, I know. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's
my favorite part about talking to people. I was talking to someone in South Africa earlier, and I'm like, "Oh, you struggle with this?" Right,
yes, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think one last thing I just want to share. I don't think I mentioned it. Is one of the biggest things that I look at and I tell parents is always think of relationship over rules. So think about relationship before you think about rules. Rules are good. Rules are very good, because they help guide and with the boundaries. But when you focus on relationship first before rules become an easy thing to be followed. So that's what I thought I'd share.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Yes, and it gives you a foundation, right? Like I've recently come across this concept, or rediscovered the concept of first principles. So there's like taking the thing, and then like you said, like tip of the iceberg analogy again, like with the listening. So taking the thing, but then dialing it down to like its actual core principles. And that's the type of thinking we need to instill in children so that they can discern the world, because the circumstances in 10, 20 years are not going to be what they have now. And it's not what you had as a kid. So teaching them how to navigate that specific thing is moot. It does them a disservice. Teaching them how to get to first principles and then use their core foundational beliefs to navigate those. Now we can solve anything. And that's what we need to be teaching them, because they're going to have to fix the problems that we're creating in 3 decades.
True.
Actually, we can't even teach people how to use ChatGPT, let alone Stephen, you are amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I
appreciate you being here. I shared with you my affinity to your name, and in the spiritual vernacular that I'm familiar with, Seraphina or Seraphim is like the highest angel, and I feel like the work you are doing is like earth angel vibes to teenagers. I really appreciate that, the way you show up in this world. I'm so gracious. I got to meet your daughter and say hello. And I know mine got to say hi. I'm just
beautiful daughter.
Thank you. I really appreciate the way our kids get to show up because of watching us. We think that we have to be perfect, but honestly, by just being raw and showing them the imperfections, you're really showing them how to be human, the best and the worst of what it is to be human. And then they can decide for themselves who they want to be. And if they can navigate that better, then good for them, right? I can always just do the best we can, right? So thank you again, Fina, for being on. We appreciate you. Parents,
thank you for having me.
This has been, thank you, girl. This has been the best journey. I just want to say thank you guys for showing up week after week and giving us love. It's literally for you guys that we show up. We go out and find amazing parents like Fina with these cool specifications to help us get 1% better, because that's really what we're here to do. You guys are already doing the most amazing job. So just appreciate you showing up and being the best versions of you. And even when that's not the best, that's okay, right? Because it's a journey. So thank you all for being here. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. It's been so beautiful and heartwarming to me to wake up every day and just see the new subscribers. And, we're very new. We've been doing this a month. So I'm pretty excited about the growth. And I just want to say thanks to you guys. So until the next perfect time, everyone, stay beautiful, stay inspired. Bye.
Take care. Bye.